All right, so I believe we are already live. So welcome everybody. I hope few people from our Liquid Loans Poland group is here. I'm Saczyyy, and with me here is Jesse the Pit Boss. So hi Jesse, thank you that you've done it.
Well,
yeah, and
thanks
that
for having me on.
Yeah, we're very happy to have you here. Especially the last time I fucked up something and the voice wasn't recorded. So this time we're going live and it looks like everything is working. Okay, so we have a few questions from our Polish community. So let's start with this sacrifice phase. Is there a minimum amount for sacrifice and are there any bonuses due to big sacrifices or some other extra bonuses?
So there's no minimum amount. People who choose to sacrifice can do so from the Binance Smart Chain or from the Ethereum chain. There are bonuses. So the way it works is there's a flat rate period of time. So 10,000 points per sacrifice dollar in the first 10 days. And then after those 10 days, the rate decreases. Okay. That would be called the earlier pays better.
Yeah.
Then there's also a longer pays better. People can choose to lock up their points for all the way up to 2 years if they choose. Each month that they decide to lock up, there's a 6% bonus. With the 24th month having a 12% bonus, which means that you can get up to a 2.5x multiplier for a 2-year lock. And then finally, there's a bigger pays better bonus. So similar to what people are maybe familiar with other sacrifice phases, all of the wallet addresses are stack ranked in order, smallest to biggest, and you'll have a range of multiplier points ranging anywhere between 1 and 2.5x for the size that you come in total for your entire sacrifice amount.
All right.
There is a referral bonus program that is just a day or two away. People can, with no KYC, obtain a referral code if they choose, give that out to their friends and family, and then earn additional bonuses, as well as the referees also earning bonuses for using those codes.
Oh, that's great. So a few ways to increase our points we're going to get. So it will be a good choice to actually use this referral links, right? Because both of the guys, the guy who sent the link and the guy who use it, have some also additional amount, right, of points.
That's correct.
Great. All right. Even after some explanation, people still ask, why do we need to do the sacrifice? Like Pulse is the fuel for Pulse protocol, right? For Pulse chain. So why do we need loan tokens? Why do we need it?
Well, first off, legacy finance has lots of different choices. You can obtain a loan from your bank. And our philosophy is you should also be able to obtain a loan in DeFi. Okay, with no middleman, with no counterparty, completely trustlessly and run on the blockchain. Okay, so because of that, this is why liquid loans exist. This is why Liquidity was forked to become liquid loans, so that on the Pulse chain, people have the same choices that they have in legacy finance, but in a trustless fashion in the Pulse chain. You mentioned the loan token.
Right.
The loan token is unique in that it's a reward token that incentivizes people to use the protocol, but it's very, very powerful. There's a fee every time that somebody takes a loan.
Yeah.
That fee goes to the stakers of the loan token. And there's also a fee every time somebody does a direct redemption, which is every USDL stablecoin that's ever minted is fully backed and redeemable. Okay, so there is a redemption process that'll primarily be used when there's arbitrage opportunity. But whenever somebody does a direct redemption of one stablecoin for $1 worth of Pulse, there's also a fee that comes out of that. And that comes out in the form of Pulse, and that also gets paid to the stakers of the loan token. So the stakers of these tokens essentially become the bank. They become the fee collectors, where instead of a central entity like a bank, you go to a bank and they just eat the fees on you. Here in this protocol, the community is able to run a trustless stablecoin lending platform, and then also the community as a whole collects the fees as well.
Right. So great. Thank you for this answer. It also is the answer for the next question we got. So how we gonna use loan token? So I hope everybody understand much better now. So the sacrifice is the way to be more profitable in the future with using liquid loans, right? Because we also could only put our pool tokens there, but in this way, while we have loan tokens, we're just gonna have better user experience, I would say. We're gonna benefit more from the whole protocol.
Well, there's a lot of things you can do inside the protocol. You can borrow, so you can put up Pulse's collateral, choose your collateral ratio to what you believe is safe, okay? And you can draw a loan out. Typically, loans are not taxed. So now you have access to capital that you can spend, or you can invest, or you could do what you need to or want to with, without the burden of having to sell your best appreciating asset, which very well might be Pulse coins. There's also two other parts of this protocol. You have the stability pool. The stability pool is where you can park stablecoin. A lot of people hold dry powder, and dry powder doesn't do anything for people if they just stick it in their wallet and do nothing with it. So in this protocol, you could put dry powder, you could put USDL stablecoin into the stability pool for the purpose of being ready to capture any liquidated Pulse that might happen. So you would be collecting Pulse at when the markets are at a severe dip of some sort, plus you would actually get a 10% discount off of the price of the Pulse simply by being a stability depositor. But you're also earning loan tokens while you're in there. There is a release schedule of additional loan tokens that's rewarded to stability providers. So you can take your dry powder, your USDL, and park it in there, and you're just earning free loan tokens. And we already know what you're supposed to do with those. You're welcome to take them to PulseX or Uniswap and sell them. However, if you stake them, you'll be collecting the fees inside the protocol, and the fees will be paid to you in both USDL and in Pulse.
All right, yeah. So by using it, you're just making your bags bigger and bigger in time, right?
Yes, absolutely.
I would say this in this one. Yeah, great. We're gonna get back to USDL in a moment. But other question I have now is position liquidated the moment when collateral worth drops below 110% of minted USDL or below 100%?
110. So for example, if you took a loan of say $10,000 worth of USDL, and you put up some collateral, you put up some Pulse, say $50,000 worth of Pulse.
Yes.
And if the markets were turning and Pulse was going down in value, now you have options. You can top up your collateral, you can withdraw excess collateral, you can pay back loan, or you can mint additional loan, all the way up into the point that Pulse is no longer worth $50,000. If the markets are turning and that $50,000 worth of Pulse is now 40,000, and then 30,000, and then 20,000, and then when it gets to 11,000, which is 110% of what you've already got up front, then it's possible for you to become your pulse to be liquidated. For somebody to hit a button and your loan would be closed, your pulse would go to the stability depositors, and you'd no longer be responsible for a loan because you already got all that money up front, right? You already got $10,000 up front. So there has to be a point where when your collateral is at risk of falling below the value of what you've already been given, you have to lose your collateral.
Right. Yeah, and that's also the way how USDL is going to work, right? Could you tell us more about USDL? Yeah, and how decreasing supply may motivate low collateral borrowers to repay their loans. Yeah, and what would drive them in such situation? How you see the USDL?
Yeah, so every single USDL that's minted by borrowers is fully backed. It's fully redeemable. You don't typically see this in most cryptos. You do see it in some stable coins. But let's look at Bitcoin, for example. Let's say everybody tried to get out of Bitcoin. It would be impossible, right? Because you have a big market cap. You have a giant market cap, but the liquidity pools are only so big. So if everybody tried to get out, it would be impossible. The price would drive down towards zero, and a fraction of the people would be able to get out. You see this with all cryptos, with the exception being some stable coins. And our stable coin is no different in that regard. Every single USDL that's ever minted is fully backed and redeemable, and you can obtain $1 worth of pulse for that stable coin. So do you want to speak about the peg, how it holds a value to $1?
Yeah, that's also one of one of the next questions, so would be great.
So because the collateral is always more than the USDL that's minted, that's how we're able to say there's always going to, the protocol requires that more collateral be in than USDL that's in existence. Okay, and the protocol allows people to come in and exchange $1 worth of, or one stable coin for $1 worth of pulse. Okay, not that feature won't be used all the time, but that feature is there. So what ends up happening is you'll find USDL on liquidity pools. You'll find it paired to Hex. You'll find it paired to Pulse. You'll find it paired to many other protocol tokens out there, and that will be the stable coin of choice. And it'll typically be $1. It'll be worth $1. Now, when the markets go very bearish very quickly, though, you see that all stable coins will also lose their peg. You saw this just a couple days ago when USDC no longer traded at $1. It traded at maybe 92 cents. And USDT also traded less than $1. And then people actually bought the price up. It went, I think it traded at 88 cents. Okay. And then people ended up trying to arbitrage, and the price actually went up above $1. But this is what happens when the value of the thing on the other side of a pool falls, such as Ethereum or Pulse. The stable coin also drops in value. This is just how liquidity pools work. But it leaves an opportunity for somebody to buy something for cheap, right? So let's say you found USDL and it was trading at 95 cents. Well, you would certainly want to buy that. And when you buy it, it changes the ratio in those pools, and it brings that value back up to $1. Now you have an arbitrage opportunity. You bought something for cheaper than $1 that's redeemable for $1 worth of pulse. So you take that USDL, you come straight into the protocol, you click the redeem button, and what it does is it gives you $1 worth of pulse for each one of those USDL that you're redeeming. Where does it get it from? Well, this is pretty cool. I hope people are following, paying attention so far. It will actually obtain that pulse from the lowest collateralized vault, from the bottom up, and it will save those vaults from liquidation. It literally takes your USDL that you're redeeming, it burns it, it reaches into the lowest collateralized vault, it removes $1 worth of pulse for each one of those, and it closes that equivalent value of debt out of that lowest collateralized vault, and it raises that vault's collateral level, saving that vault from liquidation. And it does that in order of all the vaults from the lowest up until the redemptions have stopped. The redemptions will only last as long as like when people buy the price of USDL back up to $1 from the liquidity pools. So it's not like people are redeeming forever and like it's a never ending process and everyone's losing pulse or anything. It'll be for a 10 or 20 minute period of time. The price of pulse has fallen. People are purchasing USDL to bring it back to a peg worth of $1, and then they're redeeming back inside the protocol, and then instantly it saved a bunch of accounts from liquidation, and it pegged the value back to $1 very quickly. And this is how USDL or LUSD in the Liquidity protocol on Ethereum chain holds its peg so well. It holds its peg better than USDC, better than USDT, better than DAI, because everybody has an opportunity to arbitrage it instantly back up to the price it's supposed to be.
Yes, that's a great mechanism. I think that yeah, when you let the market works, so the arbitrage is a way of that. So the market is going to a lot of work with making it working a good way. So yeah, great. I hope everybody get this now, but it's also connected with this vault liquidation mechanism, right? And I just lost this question. Let me see. Yeah, and with recovery mode, right? Could you tell us more about recovery mode? How would you describe crisis, and when can we expect recovery mode to be switched on by smart contract?
Yep. So the protocol maintains health of the entire ecosystem at over 150% collateral. It's just the right thing to do. You want the majority of the users, the average of the users, to be collateralized over 150%. You don't want to see people degenning, and you don't want to see like 90% of everyone at like 120%. That's not healthy. And that's not what we teach or recommend. I think in the community, you hear a lot of people suggesting 500, 600, or 1,000% collateral levels. So we should see safe collateral. And I'd bet it would be similar to what you see on the Ethereum chain. 300 or 400% collateral level would be the average. Now, if the average of all of the borrowers, if their average collateral were to ever fall below 150, the system goes into recovery mode, which prevents further deterioration of the average collateral. And it actually opens liquidations up to accounts that are more than 110% collateralized. So if the lowest collateralized vault was at 112%, if the system was in recovery mode, that account could be liquidated, but only 110% of what he's already minted, not the full amount, right? And it would do this from the bottom up until the average is now back over 150. Over on the Ethereum chain, this mode has only been, I think it's only happened one time, except for the beginning of the protocol. Whenever these protocols launch at the very beginning, because there's no borrowers yet, it always starts in recovery mode. So like the first borrower to ever borrow is going to have to be over 150, right? You can't be the first guy and say, well, I want 120% collateralized loan. Okay, but besides that, I think maybe back in May, the Ethereum chain version went into recovery mode for a brief period of time, just to get the system back up to health. It probably lasted 30 minutes or less. And another thing worth noting, in the month of December, there were only 37 liquidations out of 1,300-ish vaults. So there was a handful of people that were under collateralized. They chose to be under collateralized. Maybe they were using that as their form of stop loss, or for whatever reason, the markets turned and they didn't take any action and they lost their Ethereum. So it is a fact. There will be liquidations, but it is on you as the borrower to set your level at whatever point makes you feel comfortable. If you even decide to use that part of the protocol. Because remember, there's a stability pool that you could just park your dry powder in. You don't have to take a loan to do that. And then there's also the staking side of this. There's nothing saying you have to be a borrower to use the other parts of this protocol. It's just a tool that's available to you if you want access to capital, perhaps tax advantaged.
Right. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for that. Let's go on. The next one is borrowing fee and redemption fee. We're gonna pay it in USDL or in Pulse token.
Yep. So it's simple. When you mint USDL, a little bit of that USDL that you're minting is going to go straight to the stakers. Okay, and that fee is typically 0.5%. It does ratchet up as high as 5% at times, based on the health of the system. The health of the system is determined by how many redemptions are occurring, because if there's a lot of redemptions happening, that means that Pulse is very volatile at that time. Okay, so that's kind of how it determines the health of the system. But typically, I think we're going to see that the borrowing fee is 0.5%. It comes right off of the USDL and goes to the stakers. And then similarly, when somebody does a direct redemption, there's a fee for that as well, but it comes out of the Pulse that they're obtaining, and that goes to the stakers as well. In most circumstances, you won't ever have to do a redemption. Just go to Pulse Swap and just swap your USDL if you want to. But if you wanted to, come inside the protocol, do a direct redemption, obtain your dollars worth of Pulse for each USDL that you're putting in, but know that there's going to be a fee that shades off of that, and that's going to go to the stakers.
All right. Yeah, I get it. Yeah, and so let's say my Pulse tokens are all the time in the smart contract, but as Pulse chain is going to be proof of work, is there going to be possibility that I also stake my Pulse tokens in some validator? Because yeah, I was reading about that, I think.
So Pulse chain will be a proof of stake blockchain, so you can stake
yeah, proof of stake, man.
Pulse coins.
Yeah.
You can stake your Pulse coins to a validator and then earn some of the transaction fees.
Yeah. That's what I meant. Sorry for that.
You will not be able to do that with your collateralized Pulse. But for those people who choose not to, there's going to be people who choose not to even use the lending side of this thing.
Sure.
Look for a validator with an address ending in DB59, and you're welcome to go ahead and delegate to that validator if you choose. We call that the liquid loans validator, but you can't do both at the same time. You can't collateralize and delegate at the same time.
Okay, sure. So you guys also launching a node for Pulse chain?
Yeah, it's on the testnet now.
Great.
So I believe the address ends in DB59, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay, sure. You can link it to me later. I will also link it in the description after we finish this. So yeah, good. Next one. Minimum amount of DApp is $2,000, right? But considering this liquidation reserve, I will get $1,800 worth of USDL, or actually I will have to take debt of amount of $2,200. So 2K is
No,
the minimum
2,000
amount.
total.
Yeah.
2,000 total.
Yeah, but I get 1,800 of USDL approximately, right?
Approximately, because there's also the borrowing fee, the 0.5% that'll come off too.
Yeah, okay, great. So I hope
And that liquidation reserve, that's just like, that's yours still. It just sits there just in case you ever get liquidated.
yeah.
If you pay back your loan, you know, later on, you get that $200 back.
But when somebody liquidates my loan, right, I get under collateralized, let's say there's a market dip. What's happening with this liquidation reserve? Who got it?
The person who clicked liquidate,
All right.
the one who did the liquidation on your vault, that's their incentive. Part of their incentive for liquidating your pulse.
Great. Yeah, that's clear, I think. Yeah. Yeah, about vault liquidation mechanism. Because somebody is not sure if he gets it right. When he liquidates, let's say when I liquidate some vault, I spend my USDL to buy these pools tokens, right? When I'm participating in liquid pool. So I'm buying whole of this vault for my USDL, or how's it going? Or everybody in liquidity pool gets a small amount of this liquidated vault.
Okay, you as the person that is clicking the button will collect the $200 from the reserve, but you'll also collect 0.5% of all that pulse. So if it was, you know, $100,000 worth of pulse, you would receive $500, and the rest of that pulse would go and get spread across all of the stability depositors.
Yeah, so everybody will buy a little amount of that vault, right?
Yeah, everybody
this
just
way.
buys a little bit with their USDL, but they're also getting it at a 10% discount. Remember?
Yeah,
because the liquidation point is at 110%. Right, so all those stability depositors, yes, they're essentially buying pulse, but they're getting it. Obviously, it's in a market dip. Otherwise, there wouldn't have been a liquidation. But then they're also getting a 10% discount on top of that, and they're just buying. Like each person is just buying a little bit of it.
Yeah,
it's a way for the community to absorb unpaid debt as a big community.
Great. What's more there? Yeah, is it all open source? So yeah, just quick question. There's no admin keys and it's full open source, right?
No admin keys. It's open source. Other people will be able to build front ends and connect into it if they choose. I hear some people want things like auto compounding and stuff. All this is possible. People just need to build their own front ends and just connect into the back end code. And I foresee that will be happening.
Yeah, for sure.
There's a lot of excitement out there for other people to build their own front ends.
Yeah, while we have to manually click, right, the button to liquidate the vault. So I believe that's the first bot which is going to appear.
There will be, but there's no question. There's going to be bots to do these liquidations. You'll even see a warning saying it's not expected that or it's expected that eventually bots will run that function. That's just how it is. But when I mentioned front ends, like other people building front ends. It's possible people could build a front end that claims some of the rewards automatically for people, at intervals, so that you don't have to log in and like if you're staking and you
Yeah.
see, oh, I have some USDL I can claim, perhaps there's a front end that auto claims that and deposits it into the stability pool. Right.
Right.
There might be some front ends that just display all sorts of data and show you charts and graphs and stuff. I'm sure you'll see some of that.
Yeah, we actually at our Unimind DAO are very interested in this. I hope we will sometime, if it's possible, manage to do some UI to see some data from your protocol. That would be super cool, I believe. Yeah, great. I believe that's pretty all we had, because there's all of questions are related to what you already said, Jesse. Yeah, so one more from me. User interface, what I will be able to do there. So I go into UI, right, and I can make a vault, stake, and get into liquidity pool. What things I have to do manually? What can I do with UI?
Well, with the user interface, with the DApp, like you said, you can deposit into your vault, which is your vault. It's your smart contract and your keys, your coins. But you can put collateral in. You can take a loan. You can pay back a loan. You can withdraw collateral. You can withdraw any of your collateral over 110% if you want. You can add collateral. So you can manage your loan basically, and you'll see all the data points for your loan. You'll see the price that Pulse would have to be for you to be liquidated. You'll see what the price would have to be for the system to be in recovery mode. You'll see the total amount of debt that's out there, like besides just yours, like all that data will be on that tab. But then there's also, you'll see a redemption tab. If you choose to come and redeem some stablecoin, you'll see a stability pool tab. So you can partake in the stability pool where you can earn loan tokens, and you can cover some liquidations if necessary. Inside of there, you'll have claim buttons. So if you're earning any Pulse, or and you will be earning loan token inside of that pool, you can hit the claim button, and that just releases those from the smart contract and drops them into your wallet. Right now, you can do whatever you want to with those loan tokens. You'll see a staking tab, so you can click that, and you can see how many loan tokens you have staked. And you'll also have a couple buttons in there to claim your rewards from there as well. You'll have you'll be earning Pulse, and you'll be earning USDL while you're in there. So if you want those in your wallet, you just got to hit the claim button, and they also get released from the smart contract and just appear in your wallet as spendable, and you can do whatever you want with them.
Okay.
And then also liquidity providing. So if you choose to be a liquidity provider and go pair USDL to Hex or USDL to Pulse, you'll have an avenue to do that directly through our DApp as well.
Oh, that's great, actually. Yeah, that sounds like a very cool feature. Nice. Yeah, and from what I remember, but I don't have it here, somebody was asking if how am I going to go from USDL to, let's say, to USDT or anything else, because maybe the new person will be scared because it's a new stable coin. So is it possible I go to USDT or anything else and buy some other coin, or go into fiat with some run, let's say?
Yep. Same as you would with any other token. So there's thousands and thousands of tokens on an Ethereum chain. And typically you can swap anything you want for anything else that you want. there's even auto routing where it'll swap what you want. Like even if there's no pairing for what you want, it'll just swap the token you have for a different token and then swap that for what you want. You see this a lot, like with WETH, wrapped ETH. You see this happen a lot when you look at the transactions and you're like, oh, I swapped my ETH for this other random token, Link or whatever. And you read the transaction, you're like, oh, well, it swapped my ETH for wrapped ETH first, and then it swapped that for this. Yes, anything is swappable for anything else. And what's cool about swapping stable coins for other stable coins is the slippage is usually almost non-existent. It's really small usually. And that's because there's always there's people who are arbitraging or even bots that are arbitraging immediately. So those ratios kind of stay balanced pretty quickly. So swapping from USDL to USDT, yeah, it's not going to be, it'll be easy.
Great. Yeah. So two things I have in mind, and if we have no more question, of course, guys, if you want this live, you can ask questions on YouTube. I will ask them. But yeah, I'm also thinking your website. So I'm pretty for some time looking at your project, right? And now you have from some time new page, which is much cooler than the previous, I would say. But you also show much more of your team there, because I think it's very good, so we can see who's inside. So maybe you could tell us a few words about your team. And I know that a lot of you guys are Hexicans from pretty beginning. Also, there's a few people from our Liquidations Polish community who know you, Jesse, from some, I don't know which Telegram or Discord chat, but
I think everybody knows me at this point.
Yeah, but so few words about the team.
Yeah, so we all met from Hex and from Pulse Chain. I think most of us have been or attempted to be mentors in the community, teaching people about what Hex and about what Pulse is all about. We found each other, I think, because we were some of the most vocal in the community, advocating for Pulse Chain. Pulse Chain is going to be awesome, and here's all the reasons why. We think that it basically trying to onboard as many people as we could through proper education. We all saw value in what each other were doing. We came together in some private telegrams to reinforce each other, and also ask hard questions to each other. How do we unbank ourselves from like traditional finance? And just one thing led to another. And, through some research and whatnot, we found Liquidity. We compared Liquidity to Maker and Dai and Aave and Celsius and some other protocols. And we realized that we had really found an amazing protocol that met all the core principles of decentralized, no counterparty, no admin keys, getting rid of the middleman, and allowing the community to run its own bank and its own stablecoin, basically. And we said, well, first off, Pulse Chain needs adoption. Pulse Chain needs a lot of cool things running on it.
Sure.
We want those cool things to be trustless and immutable. So we said, we're going to bring this to the Pulse Chain. And hopefully this brings some adoption. It still discourages me a little bit that I don't hear other protocols launching on Pulse Chain. Right. At this moment, it seems a little bit like a ghost town. Right. We have an amazing blockchain, an amazing opportunity. That Richard Hart's given everybody, but there's not a whole lot of protocols that I hear that are doing things on it. So I think we're trying to spearhead that movement of bringing good protocols to the Pulse chain, and hopefully others will follow behind us as well.
Yeah, I see this. Yeah, and about Richard Hart, are you guys as a whole team? You know Richard, or I don't know, you spoke to him about the project or anything connected with this?
He's aware of the protocol. He was the first to get the right white paper. He doesn't typically talk about things that he hasn't built, and rightfully so. Same way that if somebody came in Liquid Loans Telegram and started talking about their random protocol, I'm not going to talk about it, right? So that's understandable. But yeah, like just from my experience in Pulse chain and onboarding people, and at some point I was an admin for Richard. Yeah, I have had communication with him.
Yeah.
Yes.
All
But
right.
this is not his protocol.
Yeah, that's a
People need to understand that.
Yeah.
And actually people need to stop bugging you. I want to say this, please. So people constantly ask Richard, what do you think about liquid loans? Richard, liquid loans, this and that. It's a little annoying. Imagine doing that to Vitalik over on the Ethereum chain. If a protocol launched on or was launching on the Ethereum chain and those people just constantly bugged Vitalik, he would be like, what are you talking? Listen, I built a blockchain. I don't know what you guys are talking about. Do your own research. And it's kind of the same thing here. People need to do their own research and stop bugging the man who's got bigger things on his mind. He's got an entire blockchain he's built.
Yeah, I can understand it for sure. And also what you said, we need, if anybody is interested in Pulse chain, so we want other people to come here, right, and build other projects, other people, because that's the only way for increasing adoption and making it all works, right? Yeah. One more question here, not that much connected, but yeah, let's ask this: predictions for the Pulse X. So I don't think that price predictions is a good thing. So maybe I will say this in this way. What do you think the second sacrifice phase, right, and Pulse X, is it needed in this environment? What's your opinion about this DEX? Do we need it, and why it's here?
So is the second sacrifice needed? I'll say what Richard Hart says all the time. You give stuff away for free, people end up not appreciating it and they dump on your head. Okay. Typically people who sacrifice have the strongest convictions about something and will be the people who use the protocol the most, right? So is it necessary? Well, you don't give stuff away for free because typically that doesn't work. All right, so that's what Richard Hart's stance has been. So was it necessary? Sure. Was it necessary to have a swapping platform that allowed fees to go back to the users? Yeah, absolutely. So same as our protocol, the fees go back to the users. You know, when you have something like PulseX where the fees go back to the users, or there's a buy-in burn that helps the holders of the token, absolutely. Anything that empowers the people is something that's good. So PulseX, we're certainly going to be using PulseX as one of the places perhaps that we pull price feeds from, and that we incentivize some liquidity providing. So I think that should speak to what we feel about it. We think it's a good platform.
Yeah, great. So yeah, let this be last question. Loan token, is there max supply, or or
it's a fixed supply? It's a fixed supply.
Yeah.
And the supply is determined by the sacrifice phase. Okay, so the more sacrifice comes in, the bigger the supply will be proportionally, across everyone. And it does get harder to obtain over time because there is a release pool of these tokens that goes to stability depositors.
Yeah.
But the rate at which it's emitted to those stability depositors, it decreases, year after year. It goes through what's called a halving.
Halving, yeah.
So it actually gets harder to obtain these things. If people aren't selling them, I mean, there'll be a market for it, but if more people are staking it than trading it, and then the release schedule is always releasing less and less and less of them, it's just going to be really hard to find these things. So early in the stability pool is always going to be best. And then, of course, early by being a participant in the sacrifice phase, that would be even better if these are the sort of token that you want.
Great. So yeah, a lot of questions Jesse answered today. Thank you very much, Jesse, for being here for our Polish community and answering all of our questions. It was super great to meet you. And yeah, we hope that we all gonna use liquid loans pretty soon.
Yep. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. So #never selling, guys, and yeah, see you in the future, Jesse. Thank you very much.
All right.
Bye, man.